This is another part 2 of lesson 3 for Algebra 1. And I noticed, kind of going through some of the problems, that you have some fractions where you're having to solve for the variable. Remember, the variable is the letter. This is done pretty much like all the others, but most people hate fractions, so we can get rid of these fractions since we have an equation. So what you want to do is you want to find the common denominator, which in this case, I think the smallest denominator would be 20. So we're going to multiply every single one of these terms by 20, and it's going to look something like this. Let me move my phone just a little bit. We're going to multiply this guy by 20. So you're going to write it like that. 20 is the same thing as 20 over 1. It doesn't matter if you multiply it in the front or behind, but you're going to multiply this guy by 20. And you're also multiplying this term by 20. So you want to make sure you multiply every single term by the same thing. That way we haven't really changed the value. We've changed the look, but we haven't changed the value. Okay, notice here that this will simplify. 4 will go into 20 5 times. So what that really leaves me, all I have left in the denominator are 1s, so it's basically gone. So I just have 5 times 3, which is 15a. So I've got 15a. All right, and then I'm going to go over here. And 2 goes into 2 ones. 2 goes into 20 10 times. So again, there's nothing left in the denominator, which I love that. So in the numerator, we just have 1 times 10, which is 10. So right there. All right, same thing. 10 goes into 10 once, but it goes into 20 twice. So I'm left with 7 times 2, which is 14. Now we're back to exactly what you guys already know how to do. You find your variable. You get him all by itself. So we want to get rid of this plus 10. So you think, hey, let's do the opposite. What's the opposite of adding 10? Subtracting 10. So we're going to subtract 10 from both sides. 10 minus 10, that's gone. So I just have 15a. And 14 minus 10 is 4. Okay, now remember, what does this mean? I still want the a all by itself. That's 15 times a. What is the opposite of multiplying by 15? That's right, dividing by 15. I'm grabbing a different color real quick. If you divide both sides by 15, okay, notice my 15s are gone. So I have a equals 4 over 15. There's nothing wrong with that answer. Beautiful answer. I'm running out of room, so I'm just going to write it right here. A equals 4 over 15. I don't know. Don't be worried. Your answer is a fraction, which is fine. I mean, good grief. You started with fractions, so don't let that bother you. Okay. This one is actually number 20. So why don't you pause your YouTube video. Try this one on your own first. And if you don't get it, then you can watch and see what you did wrong or to see how I did it. So let's try it real quick. Okay, again, we want to get rid of the fractions. We can only get rid of fractions because we have an equation. So find the common denominator, which to me it looks like it might be 40. Looks good to me. So you're going to multiply all 3 of these things, all 3 terms, by 40. And you're going to write that by doing it 40 over 1. So let me do that real quick. We got 40 over 1. We're going to multiply. We're going to multiply this guy by 40 over 1, kind of squishing him in there. And we're multiplying this guy by 40 over 1. Okay, so let's simplify. 8 will go into 8 once, but 8 goes into 40 5 times. So I'm just simplifying right here on the diagonal. You should always just have 1s left in the denominator. That way, notice I've got 5 times 3, or I've got 15. Just a nice whole number. Minus, okay, we're going to do this again. 5 will go into 5 once, but it'll go into 40 8 times. So I have 8 times 1. And notice it's an 8 times 1x, so I'm going to get 8x equals, okay, do this again. 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 40 10 times. So I have 10 times 3, or 30. Okay, so we're right down here is what we've got so far. Notice now we've got all these lovely numbers. Okay, so find your variable. Right here it is. This is not just an 8x. This is, you want to think about it as a negative 8x. Remember, I'm always telling the students, that's great, telling the students, always look at the sign right in front of it. It belongs with it. So see, this is a positive 15, and I want to get him away from this guy. He doesn't want anything to do with him, so we're going to move him to the other side. Since it's a positive 15, the only way I'm going to get rid of him is by subtracting 15. So I'm just going to show that up here. I'm subtracting 15 from this guy. I have to do the same thing on the other side. So what I'm left with is a negative 8x on the left, and on this side, 30 minus 15 is 15. Okay, now notice what that says, -8 times x. When they're written right beside each other, it means multiplication. And the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I'm going to divide both sides by -8. So that way, a negative and a negative is a positive. So these are canceling. Whoop. So I'm going to get x equals, and this is a positive divided by a negative. So you're going to get a -15/8. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say, oh, well, x equals -15/8. There's nothing wrong with that answer either. If you look in the Matthew C book, I really don't know. They probably have this answer. They might have -1 7/8. That's fine as well. I actually prefer this answer, the improper fraction. It's easier to use it later on in other types of math problems. So let your student just leave it as an improper fraction. There's nothing that you can't simplify that any further. Okay, I'm going to do one other one, and then later I'm going to be posting all the honors problems and make sure they have all the honors problems done before they come on Tuesday that they were assigned. If they can't figure them out, then they need to go to the YouTube video and at least copy them down. But I do want them to try to think through them a little bit. Okay, one, if you've got a calculator, you could do this with a calculator and not even worry about it. But let me show you how to get rid of your decimals. Do you see, to get rid of this decimal, I would have to move this guy too. I'd also need to move this guy too, but I'd only have to move this guy 1. But here's the deal. If you have to move this guy 2, I'm going to have to move them all 2 because you have to be fair, very consistent. So if I move this guy 2, he becomes a boring 5x. If I move this one 2, it becomes a 35. If you move this one 2, well, if you move it 1, it's a 27. You can tag as many zeros on here as you need, but hopefully you notice if I move it 2, it becomes 270. Okay, now you're going to solve it the same way. Find your variable. Whoop, there he is. I need to get rid of this extra stuff. It's a -35. So what you're going to want to do is add 35 to both sides. Whoop, I just dropped my pen. We'll leave it in the floor. We're going to add 35 to both sides right there. So I've got 5x equals, let's see, that's going to be what, 305? That's 5 times x, so show that. Just divide both sides by 5. This is exactly how you're supposed to be showing your work. Use your calculator or do it in your head. Whatever works for you, okay? This is not arithmetic. This is algebra, so let them use their calculator. But you should get 61 right there. X equals 61, and that's it.